When I wrote Clean Disruption, I looked at hydrogen to see if hydrogen was disruptive, if it was going to go anywhere and so on. And my conclusion was that no. I mean, essentially, hydrogen, yes, it's a source of, basically it's storage, right? And so the question is, can hydrogen compete with batteries, especially lithium-ion batteries and what's coming, right? And the answer was no. If you look at purely at the economics, it doesn't make any sense. If you look at, the environmental aspects, it also doesn't make any sense, because 95% of hydrogen comes from natural gas. But even if it came from water, the water utilization, the resource utilization is just insane. I mean, from a water perspective, basically it would be preferable to use gasoline than to use hydrogen. And then you have to build this $1 trillion infrastructure.
It is about half the efficiency. It's terrible. So why would you do that? It makes no sense. And then hydrogen has very low density. It's a pernicious molecule, likes to get all over the place. You get metal embrittlement from hydrogen. If you get a hydrogen leak, it's an invisible gas. You can't even tell that it's leaking. But then it's extremely flammable when it does and has an invisible flame. If you're going to pick an energy storage mechanism, hydrogen is an incredibly dumb one to pick. You should just pick methane. That's much, much easier, or propane.
So the best case scenario is let's invest trillions to replicate the exact same infrastructure for the exact same price as gasoline today. If you look at it from the economics or the technology point of view, I think this is a no-brainer. I think hydrogen is a non-starter. It truly is.
Hey, I'm Steven and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So in this video, we're hearing from Elon Musk and Tony Seba on why hydrogen is a moronic idea for propelling vehicles in the future. Yes, I did say moronic, not bad, not suboptimal, moronic. So let's get into the video. But first, hey guys, if you're in the US and you'd like 3 free stocks, yes, 1, 2, 3 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. Open a new account and fund it with $100 and you'll get 3 free stocks, 2 of them valued up to $1,600. And if you're in Australia, the UK or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake also using the link in the description. Let's get back to it. Despite what you may have heard from Trevor, Cousin Fiddling, allegedly do your own research, Milton, hydrogen makes 0 sense as a form of propulsion. And to be clear, I'm not arguing that hydrogen can't propel a vehicle, nor that it's quite energy dense, has low weight, and that's amazing. But what I am arguing is based in this part of the multiverse, based on the technology that we've already developed, the infrastructure we've already developed, and most importantly, the laws of physics which we observe to be constant, hydrogen makes 0 sense.
I don't want to turn this into a debate on hydrogen fuel cells because I just think that they're extremely silly. And the people have published, there's multiple sort of rebuttals of it online. It's just very difficult to make hydrogen and store it and use it in a car. Hydrogen is an energy storage mechanism. It's not a source of energy. So you have to get that hydrogen from somewhere. If you get that hydrogen from water, so you're splitting H2O, the electrolysis is extremely inefficient as an energy process. If you say took a solar panel and used the energy from that solar panel to just charge a battery pack directly, compared to try to split water, take the hydrogen, dump the oxygen, compress the hydrogen to an extremely high pressure or liquefy it, and then put it in a car and run a fuel cell. It is about half the efficiency. It's terrible. So why would you do that? It makes no sense. And then hydrogen has very low density. It's a pernicious molecule, likes to get all over the place. You get metal embrittlement from hydrogen. If you get a hydrogen leak, it's an invisible gas. You can't even tell that it's leaking. But then it's extremely flammable when it does and has an invisible flame. if you're going to pick an energy storage mechanism, hydrogen is an incredibly dumb one to pick. You should just pick methane. That's much, much easier, or propane. Hydrogen fuel cell, the best case hydrogen fuel cell doesn't win against the current case batteries. So then obviously it doesn't make sense. That will become apparent in the next few years. There's no reason for us to have this debate. I've said, my piece on this. It will be super obvious as time goes by. I don't know what we're saying.
Pop quiz. Did you know that Elon Musk is smarter than you? Did you also know that Elon Musk has a degree in physics and understands the universe from the atoms up? And did you also know that understanding whether or not hydrogen makes sense as a fuel source requires an understanding of physics? Putting aside the physics for a moment and approaching this from a more general point of view, just ask yourself the question. Given that Elon Musk is 4, 5, 6 standard deviations smarter than you are and has opted to go with battery technology rather than hydrogen propulsion, does that tell you something? I mean, maybe I'm crazy. It's not like the guy's built reusable rockets and no one else has pulled that off. It's not like the guy's disrupted the entire automotive industry. So why would you listen to this guy? He seems to make really poor business decisions in terms of technology, doesn't he? Not.
Hydrogen. And whether hydrogen is going to play a role that many investors believe. And obviously hydrogen is a wonderful element, except in hydrogen bombs. But hydrogen is not an energy source, really. We look at hydrogen as an alternative storage system. And I don't think it is very convenient as a storage system. It is a big hassle to have hydrogen around.
Yeah.
So what is your current look on it?
I agree. I mean, when I wrote Clean Disruption, I looked at hydrogen to see if hydrogen was disruptive, if it was going to go anywhere and so on. And my conclusion was that no. I mean, essentially, hydrogen, yes, it's a source of, basically it's storage, right? And so the question is, can hydrogen compete with batteries, especially lithium-ion batteries and what's coming, right? And the answer was no. Hydrogen is a classic one-to-one substitution of, basically folks are saying of natural gas for hydrogen, of gasoline for hydrogen. It's not really a disruption. I mean, it's more political than anything. But if you look at purely at the economics, it doesn't make any sense. If you look at the environmental aspects, it also doesn't make any sense, because 95% of hydrogen comes from natural gas. But even if it came from water, the water utilization, the resource utilization is just insane. I mean, from a water perspective, basically it would be preferable to use gasoline than to use hydrogen. And then you have to build this $1 trillion infrastructure, right? Which again, who's going to pay for it?
So Tony Seba, who for over a decade has been accurately predicting the future of energy generation, storage, supply, and transportation in no uncertain terms for a multiplicity of reasons, says that hydrogen makes no sense. Not some sense, no sense. And I completely agree.
Certainly, people wouldn't think that hydrogen could completely eliminate or replace battery electric vehicles. So we would have to build two infrastructures. One is what is already being built, the charger network,
yes,
whether Tesla's or anybody else's. Yeah. But at the same time, if we think that hydrogen powered vehicles are also going to be widespread, then that would be on top of the first. So
the hydrogen infrastructure, think of it as more of the natural gas infrastructure.
Yeah.
Right. You need big refineries, you need pipelines, you need gas stations, and so on. So it's a brand new infrastructure, right, at all levels. Whereas the electricity network. We have an electricity network. We're going to improve it, but we already have an electricity network, right? The charging station, you just need to plug into the existing network. So if you will, it's a marginal investment in the existing network as opposed to a brand new, basically network. And for all those reasons, I mean, I look at things from purely economic reasons, and for purely economic reasons, it's gonna make no sense. And you're gonna have the hype, and you're gonna have all of that.
Did somebody say hype? Next minute, Nikola Motors, Hindenburg Research, allegations of fraud, lies and misleading of investors. In fact, let's have a read at some of the key allegations from the Hindenburg Research report. Big shout out to Hindenburg Research for exposing the steaming pile of bullshit known as Nikola Motors. Allegedly, do your own research, blah blah blah. Let's scroll down and see some of these claims, these allegations regarding Nikola's hype around hydrogen. A spokesman for the Volvo spin-off PowerCell AB, a hydrogen fuel cell technology company that formerly partnered with Nikola, called Nikola's battery and hydrogen fuel cell claims hot air. In addition to now using GM's battery technology, Nikola seeks to use the automaker's production and fuel cell capabilities. Nikola seems to be bringing nothing to the partnership but concept designs, their brand name, and up to $700 million they will be paying GM for costs related to production. Inexpensive hydrogen is fundamental to the success of Nikola's business model. Trevor has claimed in a presentation to hundreds of people and in multiple interviews to have succeeded at cutting the cost of hydrogen by around 81% compared to peers and to already be producing hydrogen. Nikola has not produced hydrogen at this price or at any prices, as he later admitted when pressed by the media. Trevor has appointed his brother, Travis, as Director of Hydrogen Production and Infrastructure to oversee this critical part of the business. Travis's prior experience looks to have largely consisted of pouring concrete driveways and doing subcontractor work on home renovations in Hawaii. Just want to give Tony some credit where it's due for calling out the fact that he knew there'd be hype around hydrogen technology in the future. Nikola being the prime example of this. In fact, they hyped their way to Department of Justice and Securities Exchange Commission investigations. So well done, guys. How's that hype going?
But you asked me if in 10 years we're going to have a mainstream hydrogen infrastructure. My answer is an unqualified no.
And now let's wind the clock back to 2014 to a presentation which Tony detailed more of the reasons around why hydrogen makes absolutely no sense, and in my opinion, you really would need to be a moron to pursue this form of propulsion. Yes, once again, I use the word moron. Not foolish, not silly, moronic. I really mean it. Oh, and let me be clear. There are some interim, temporary, minor, small-scale niche applications where for a short period of time, hydrogen may fill a need in the marketplace. But the question is, why would you try to reinvent the wheel by designing a square, knowing that it's going to be less efficient, less effective, more dangerous, more cumbersome, more difficult, more capital intensive? Why? We've already got a great wheel.
Hydrogen, fuel cell, and electric vehicles. When I say EVs, I say battery electric, like a Tesla, right? They're both in usually the clean car lists, the zero emissions list. I want to show four dimensions, to basically compare and contrast a little bit. Production, infrastructure, architecture, and energy efficiency. The first thing is that a lot of folks talk about hydrogen as being a source of energy. Hydrogen is not a source of energy, unless you consider the sun, right? But on Earth, hydrogen is a form of storage of energy. It's not a source. You need energy from other sources, like natural gas or coal or uranium or whatever, or the sun, to power a mechanism. There are a couple of mechanisms like electrolysis or natural gas reforming, and I'll talk about these briefly, to extract the hydrogen from either water or natural gas. And so first thing to know is that hydrogen is a form of storage, not a source, okay? So for instance, the methane reforming or natural gas reforming is the method that basically 95% of hydrogen in America comes from natural gas. So it's not clean, first of all. Okay? 95% of hydrogen in America comes from natural gas. What you do with reforming is you add methane, natural gas, and water. You heat it up, and boom, you produce. Out comes hydrogen. You heat it up at 1,000 degrees centigrade, and you get 3 molecules of hydrogen. So that's one of the ways to do it. The other way is, which many might remember from high school chemistry, electrolysis. Very simple process. Water, electricity, bzzz, you produce hydrogen and oxygen, right? Very simple. But again, you need to get energy from somewhere, and you need a lot of water also. 2, hydrogen delivery infrastructure. So unless we're actually going to do this electrolysis at home, which most of us are not going to do, the infrastructure that we need to have a hydrogen, what's called the hydrogen economy, is basically like you need to mirror, more or less, the infrastructure that we have developed for oil and gas. You need refineries, you need production plants, you need pipelines to pipe it up from the big plants out there to the users in here. So you need compressors and pipeline and compressors again and truck delivery and gas stations, or in which case hydrogen station. So to do this, we need to replicate an infrastructure that has cost trillions of dollars. Several companies still, car companies still are doing hydrogen or betting on hydrogen. When I ask them in their best estimates, how much is hydrogen going to cost at the pump, right? Assume everything else works and we have this infrastructure. How much is hydrogen going to cost at the pump? The number that I've heard is $4, the equivalent of $4 a gallon, right? So the best case scenario is let's invest trillions to replicate the exact same infrastructure for the exact same price as gasoline today. Now, can we get breakthroughs? Everything is possible. But knowing what we know, the best case scenario is that we're going to replicate the existing infrastructure. 3, it turns out that hydrogen fuel cell vehicles are electric vehicles. So hydrogen vehicles are electric vehicles. They have a compressed hydrogen tank that power a fuel cell, and the fuel cell generates electricity that powers the electric motor. So it turns out that the major difference, as far as the car itself, between the EV and the hydrogen vehicle is the difference between the storage mechanisms. So do we choose a battery, electric battery, or a hydrogen/fuel cell? Does this make sense? So it turns out that at the end of the day, even if you ignore the whole infrastructure issue, let's make this comparison, because maybe we should make $1 trillion infrastructure investment if this is more energy efficient than electricity. If you start with, say, 100 kilowatt hours of renewable AC electricity, you can compare what an electric vehicle ends up using and what a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle ends up actually using. Okay, and you can look at this at home, but All the steps, electrolysis, liquefaction, transport, fuel cell, boom, we end with a 19% efficient vehicle to 23% efficient vehicle. Now, does anyone remember what the efficiency is, energy efficiency of internal combustion engine vehicles?
Less than 30.
17 to 21%, right? So again, it turns out that hydrogen fuel cell vehicles have pretty much the efficiency of an internal combustion engine vehicle, whereas an electric vehicle has 70, 80, 90% efficiency.
This really matters.
If you look at it from the economics or the technology point of view, I think this is a no-brainer. I think hydrogen is a non-starter. It truly is. In their best case scenario, they will mirror the existing oil and gas infrastructure. That's not disruptive. That's not even a winner. It's not even clean.
So I hope you guys have found this video insightful. Just wanted to share some of the insights from Elon Musk and Tony Seba around why hydrogen makes approximately no fucking sense as a form of fuel. At least in this part of the multiverse where the laws of physics are the way that they are. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. P.S. Shout out to all the Nikola investors. Rip you. And don't forget, if you're in the US and you'd like 3 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. Open a new account and fund it with $100 and you'll get 3 free stocks, 2 of them valued up to $1,600. And if you're in Australia, the UK or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake also using the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.